Okay, welcome everyone to our fourth edition of our Artist Talk for Community Murals Sacramento. My name's Donald Gensler. I'm the project manager for our Art in Public Places program here in the City of Sacramento's Office of Arts and Culture. Have a number of artists here from our Community Murals Sacramento program. So thank you all for being here. And but tonight we're here specifically also to celebrate and hear a little bit about Shane Grammer and the work that Shane did in our program here for Community Murals Sacramento. But also this is really more an artist talk to hear just a bit more about Shane in general and the work that he's done both before and even after his work here in Sacramento. Just as a quick recap of our program, we are a community mural program run through the city of Sacramento in each 8 council district and 2 council districts. We actually have 2 projects going on. We're in the final stretch of our program with 39 artists in total, and we're going to be wrapping up at the end of June of this year. And it's been a lot of fun, and I think we've accomplished some just really exciting projects. One component of the program is that each of the lead artists have their artist talk on their on the portion of the CMS website, communitymuralsacramento.org, that talks about the project that they did in the particular district. So that's what we're doing here. We'll be recording, like I said, this is recorded and will be uploaded onto YouTube and then onto our website. So with that said, I'm going to just jump in and introduce Shane. I have had a real pleasure working with Shane over the course of the program. I didn't know him before, but I had seen his work. He defines himself as a contemporary inspired multidisciplinary artist, and I think you'll see a good bit of that tonight. So I'm really excited to have you all see some of that. He's been an art director and managed small and large teams through conceptual design, fabrication, installation on all number of projects. He was a senior dimensional designer for Walt Disney Imagineering, and he used his skills also as a sculptor and visionary with projects for Shanghai Disney. So Shane continues to do projects both in terms of the work that he does on his own, but he also has a nonprofit and does a lot of work involved in social justice. So it's been a real treat to get to work with Shane and to have him here working with us in District 1. And you'll hear a little bit more about that. He was working in North Natomas, and his assistant on that project was Cone Lilipatha. So with no further delay, Shane, would you like to kick us off here and get started?
Yeah, thanks, Donald. This is awesome, and I appreciate it. And I really appreciated meeting you. Thank you for being pretty easy to work with as a client and encouraging and kind of pushing us, Cone and I, as artists to do our thing and to have fun and really bring some beauty to the area of Natomas. So thank you. Appreciate it. I'm just going to fire hose. So a little bit about me. Oh gosh. So I've always had a love for hip hop, urban art. Born and raised in Chico, California, small college town. Moved from Chico to San Francisco in the early 90s to work at an inner city youth ministry. So I moved from Chico to the Tenderloin, the TL. And I lived there for about 4 to 5 years. Absolutely loved it. And at that time, I just started getting into graffiti because of most West Coast graffiti artists because of the documentary Style Wars from New York. And it blew my mind. I had no idea. And I just loved that culture. I played basketball, skateboarded, and all that kind of stuff. And when I went from Chico, absolutely had no culture, to San Francisco, it just blew me away. I mean, the Beautiful Losers were there, Twist, Barry McGee, and I could just go on, Sam Flores, I can go on and on with artists that I would see. Reminisce, who was a gal that would do horses. She would just tag horses on the Mission Boulevard. And I just was in love with urban hip hop. And I was kind of really working that in the 90s, early 2000s in Sacramento. But most of you that have lived in Sacramento for a long time, it really felt like in those days, there just wasn't anything hardly for urban hip hop type of work. There wasn't a lot of love for it. You had to go to San Francisco, LA, other cities to really grow that type of art. My wife and I started to build a family. We have 3 girls. And I was like, my God, I need to do, I need to do something to make money. And so I started to shift, and that's when I went into the themed entertainment, which is scenic. So I'm a scenic sculptor, artist, designer. And I'm just gonna go through my portfolio here. All right. And I know I'm going to get rid of that side. There we go. See that okay? Good, thank you. So just showing you a few things. I've done a lot of miniature models, a lot of designs over the last 25 years. Like Donald said, I did some work for Walt Disney Imagineering. I'm a signed Disney artist now. I do have paintings in the Disney galleries in Disneyland, California Adventure, and Disney World. So I can't show stuff like that because it's a park contract. They're really weird. And then, sorry, this photo right here is some miniature scale models I did for a children's department area, very Toontown. This is just showing a lot of 3-dimensional projects I worked on. These trees around the carousel. This was a fun project. We didn't build the Optimus Prime, but we built everything that he sets on. And that all that had to tear down, so disassemble and assemble, because it traveled all over the world as an exhibit. And that was probably a crew of 20 people working on that piece alone. Same thing, this is an exhibit piece. We didn't build the Batman. We just built everything around him to look super gothic, and I love doing work like this. This tree was for the Bellagio Casino in Las Vegas. This was a pretty cool project. We had 6 weeks to fabricate it. So I had 2 teams working around the clock, welder teams, to weld up all the steel. And then I think the team I had on this was about 15 to 20 people. This was a $200,000 contract for my shop, but then it went to another shop, and that was probably another 150 grand. And then it went to Las Vegas, where their team set it up. This whole thing assembles and disassembles, and actors could actually go up on that platform and act and interact with the guests as they walk in and out through that tree. So that was a big project. Dylan's Candy Bar in New York. This is in Glendale. This is all FRP fiberglass. These, I didn't design it. They had a designer design this, but we were the fabricators, and that was a huge project. They had installers on site, and then we had our team on site cleaning up all the installers' work. And then those models that I showed you earlier, this is it in real life. I've done this kind of work 1,000 times, you know, old wood, barricades, things like that for water parks and stuff like that. And that is carved cement. So basically everything you see in Disneyland, Universal, it's either fiberglass or it's carved cement, plaster. And that's all steel, lath, and then we put the mud on and we carve it. Sometimes it's epoxy that's really high end, where you can stamp it if you want really beautiful high end wood grains and rock and stuff like that. That's another set. This is Kubo and the Two Strings. This was for Universal Studios in Hollywood. This was this little Kubo sign up here. It lit up at night. This thing was horrible. It was so much work. It was pretty intense. I'm glad I'm not doing this kind of work anymore. To be honest. Oh my gosh. Legos, tons of work. This was fun. I did all the body work for the speeder bike that was at E3 Expo in Anaheim. That was fun because I got to look at a lot of photos that were, I'm a Star Wars geek, and I was able to look at a lot of top secret kind of imagery from their archives. That was fun. And then this type of work, I think, was for a golf course. And I've done this 1,000 times. A lot of stuff I cannot show because it's IP, intellectual property. So I still work as a scenic freelancer. So a lot of shops call me in right now. And then I'll go and I'll work on projects anywhere from sculpting rock to painting rock or scenic elements that you see here. Like in next week, I'm in South Carolina working on a water park. You know, so it's, for me, it's like, it's stuff that I have the ability to do, but it's another way to provide for my family and kind of balance out. As all you artists that are on here know, that balance is like the toughest thing to do. We'll get 3 projects at the same time and then nothing for a month, and then it just keeps going like that. So this helps my life a little bit. So I'm going to stop sharing that, and then I'm going to crack into my where is that? There we go. No, wrong one. And I definitely want to have plenty of time for Q&A with, if anybody has any questions. Okay, I had all this down here.
I know you did because I saw it.
Yeah. All right, I'll find it.
And remember, worst case scenario, I've got it.
Hey, just give me a second. It's a bummer, I don't know where it just jumped off. I'll get it.
I wasn't expecting all the sculpted stuff, Shane. Really great to see that kind of work that you're doing, and
Yeah.
looking forward to talking a little bit about your balance and how you do that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I hardly ever talk about that type of work anymore, just because I've been rebranding myself, and I'll talk about that as well.
Sure.
All right, where am I? Murals.
You good? You find it?
Yeah.
Okay.
There we go. Thank you for being patient. All right, got it.
You're sharing just a black screen right now. So it says that you're sharing, but you just might want to select a little different window.
I was sharing my Cintiq. Sorry. Okay.
Perfect. And then you just put it in presenter and you're good. Or full screen.
Full screen. All right, thank you. Okay, so I'm gonna fly through this because I've got a lot of different stuff, but I wanted to talk more about my nonprofit as I'm moving down. But so as I've been all these years doing the scenic work, I still was pursuing my mural work. This is one of my latest murals I just did for Twisted Track Gallery. This one was for Wide Open Walls. There's actually 2 different years here. I just kind of combined them all together. That's just a close-up of that mural. Harriet Tubman, I painted Harriet in Oak Park for City of Refuge. This is for my friend. He owns this restaurant in Chico, California. And I love doing portraits. You're going to see tons of women portraits. That's one of my favorite things to do, and I'll talk about why. This is in Chico for a tattoo shop, exclusive. That was fun. I like being able to play with some tattoo design, a little realism. Martin Luther King Jr. in Portland. I did this about a year ago. This is for Oliver's Brew House in Lincoln, California. That's about 3 stories tall. And this is the project that we did for the arts for you, Donald. I believe this was 2,500 square feet.
And not just for me, but for the city of Sacramento.
City of Sacramento, yes, and the Domus.
But thank you.
I don't know if Cone is on. Cone, I think you're on, aren't you, on the call? But if Cone's on, I want him to say what's up. But Cone was the assistant artist on this, and we really cracked this out. So I did the concept for Jibe and the city of, or the Natomas School District. And they were honestly pretty darn cool about it right away, because I just wanted to do something. Jibe is all about using alternative transportation and exercise for youth. And so we just targeted on some images with bike scooters. And I wanted something that felt a little bit exploration, dream, looking into the future. And then I wanted all those images behind the kids to look like they drew it on. They drew the rocket and the stars and added the goggles and the space helmet on. So it was really adventurous for youth. And the clients they were like, thumbs up, this is awesome. They made a few switches, and then I made those switches, and it was pretty much rock and roll after that. And I think Cone and I did this mural about 8 days, 7 or 8 days. I'll go to the next shot. There's Cone. So you can see a little bit more scale of the wall with that shot right there. Okay, so I'm gonna run through Paradise Murals. And if you don't know, I had a shop in Sacramento, the Scenic Shop, and I went from 4 to 6 guys for most of my career to where we blew up to where I had 55 people on payroll. And it about crushed me in many ways. Every single project I had was IP, intellectual property, Disney, Motion Gate in Dubai, South Korea, China projects. And I was putting everything into the business, and I really wasn't making a lot of money. We were getting into projects that were way bigger. I was starting to, and I'm just being transparent. I started to bid projects that were like $3 million and sometimes even higher. And thank God, with everything in me, I did not get those projects. It meant bigger buildings. It meant bigger spray booths, fiberglass chopper guns. It meant I had to grow and hire people that were more skilled. And I turned in the guy that was the guy that did everything to I was the guy doing shaking hands, kissing babies, doing sales and doing contracts. And then I would come into the shop and watch people make really cool stuff. And it sucked. It completely sucked. And I lost a $500,000 contract because we couldn't handle it. We couldn't handle all the work that we had. I had 3 crews in 3 different states throughout the United States. And it just was like, my wife and I were like, we're done. I hate this. I wasn't even myself anymore. I shut it down and I went and worked for 2 different companies, one for a year in LA and then one for 6 months. And I got fired from that job. It was another scenic shop. Scenic shops are like redneck mafias because there's only a certain amount of people that are going to make money. The CEOs, the sales guy, and maybe the art director, if he's in a big shop doing 50 million to 100 million a year. I wasn't doing that. And everybody else, and I'm not trying to be rude or mean, but they're like peons, and you're gonna make $25 an hour for the rest of your life making stuff. And it just kind of, because you turn into this production studio, and it was not fun at all. So I got fired. By the time I got fired, though, it was the best thing that ever happened to me, because like when I started out, all my old school, like urban, murals, hip hop, I was dying. I just wanted to get back to like painting on a wall, doing something, creating my own IP, making my own art. And so Paradise, when the fires happened in 2018, November, well, a lot of my friends that grew up in Chico, that I grew up in Chico with, went to Chico High, junior high, they lost their homes in the fire. And I started seeing stuff on Facebook, all my friends that lost their homes. And this chimney right here, this is my friend Shane and Jennifer Edwards. And I saw the chimney. And as soon as I saw that chimney on Facebook, I was like, my God, I got to paint that. And I've been working on a series for about 20 years on paintings called the Bride series, which is all based off of the book in the Bible, Song of Solomon, which is a love story. And it's a love story about the king and the Shulamite woman who is kind of rejected by her own people, but the king sees her beautiful. And a lot of people see that as an allegory where Solomon, the king, is Jesus, and the Shulamite woman is mankind, his beloved, his bride is beautiful. So I just love painting these beautiful women, images of women in really like urban X, abandoned, rundown locations, because I feel like it's bringing some beauty out of the ashes. And that's just my story personally. And so when I hit my buddy up, I said, hey, I'd love to paint your chimney. He was like, dude, that would be awesome. So I went up there, and that only took me about 3 hours, because I was using transparent Montana 94. I was using a black and white. That's it, transparent. And I didn't think, honestly, anybody would care. I just did it for my friends and myself, and just kind of trying to generate my own IP, but it went internationally viral. And then I just went crazy. If I wasn't married with kids, I would have slept in my truck, ate burritos, and painted everything like a normal artist. This is a painting that kind of became famous. It's Eleanor. Eleanor, I went to high school with her mom, and they lost this home, and they loved this home. And then I found out after I painted this image of Eleanor, I didn't tell the parents that I was going to do that. They gave me permission, but a story came out of it where she's looking right at this burnt tree. And that tree was, is like I forget what they call it, like a cherry blossom. So they're really purple flowers when they bloomed. And so this whole area, that was her kitchen window, and that was her favorite place for Eleanor to play, was right there. And I didn't know any of that, and this story all came out. I could tell you so much more, but I gotta fly through this. So this one's crazy because this is a church that burnt down, and this is a baptismal. So I painted Jesus on a baptismal, and then you can't see it, but there's actually the only thing that stayed erected after the fire and everything collapsed was a cross that was on the exterior of the wall, and it's burnt and it's kind of hidden in the trees. This mural is called Unexpected Hope. That was a plumbing business, and I kept driving by that van and I was like, oh my gosh, it's the most beautiful canvas. And then I finally got the paint on that. The hardest part was getting permission. So I started to meet people in Paradise, and as I'd meet them, they, hey, how can I help you? I'm like, oh, I need permission. And then I would tell them some locations. And so I started to kind of build this network with these really awesome people and help me get permission. This one was pretty powerful. It's called Hope Peering Through, because you could just drive right by it. It was right on a main street. But if you, as you're driving towards the building, if you just kind of look to your left, she's staring right at you. This one was very powerful for a lot of people. That just shows some shots inside. This was the first art installation that I ever did. We've all seen graffiti artists doing this in the forest. There's a bunch of artists in the UK that are known for doing this type of work. But I wanted to try it. And I felt like, sometimes as artists, we see something somebody else does. It's like a tool that we put in a toolbox, and use it for the right time. This was on a property where the house was completely destroyed. Actually, the whole block was destroyed. And it took me about a half a day to do this, but I really wanted it to be very transparent. And she seemed alive because she moved in the wind. It was pretty amazing. This is my friend that I grew up with, Amber, and her husband. They lost their home. And at first, when I'd walk onto these properties, you would just look at them right away and there's nothing I can paint on it. But you'd have to kind of keep walking and force yourself to walk around, and then you would see different angles and different viewpoints. And the shed kind of really hit me and ended up being very powerful. We actually saved the shed, cut it off, sold it in an exhibition for 12 grand. And then I gave half of that to the Paradise Art Center to help them rebuild. This was a Seventh-day Adventist church that burnt down, and you couldn't see it. I tried to find locations that were hidden, and this is far from the road, and you could easily drive right by it and never see her. This was another powerful one right on Skyway. And then I just kept going. I still paint. I'll show you one that it's like, because people still hit me up and on Facebook or social media and like, hey, I've got a wall. And then I'll ask them to send me photos. And so this was a 3 bays right on Skyway that I've been working on for about 2 years. I actually have another mural over on the other side. Now, this is one of them where somebody got a hold of me about 4 months ago. And now I'm always like sensitive about saying this. This is somebody's amazing home that they lost. But when I look at it, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like painting paradise. There's so much. I could go back and paint there like 5 times. This lady reached out to me and then I came in and it painted that in about a day. And what's awesome is the people, when they find out, because I won't tell them when I go paint, because I want to kind of do it and be secluded and just have fun going for it. And then I'll meet them later and sometimes they'll just fall in my arms and weep, because to them, it feels like I brought a little beauty back to something that it's been devastated. That was a place of home for them at one time. So now I'm going to go into, how are we doing? We're doing good with time. Am I going too fast or?
No, I think you're doing really good. I'll give you kind of a 5-minute warning to kind of still give us 10 minutes at the end, Shane, but
okay,
I think you're doing good. 6:05. So if you go to about 6:15, if you go for another 10 minutes, should still leave us a good 10-15 minutes for discussion.
Cool. And I'm going to show one video, so I'll fly through these. So Paradise, again, I'm shotgunning here. I'm just going for it, but Paradise really changed my life in many ways, because I did art that connected with people in a deep way emotionally. And I don't feel like I've ever done that in my life. And so it's almost like I'm addicted to doing good, you know, and I'm not saying everything that I've done my whole life, like mission trips and stuff like that, doing artwork in Brazil and Peru and orphanages in Mexico, inner city projects, stuff like that, where my heart has always been with youth that are kind of downcast and brokenhearted, using my artwork to bring hope. But it all just like kind of came together with shutting down my shop, rebranding, trying to, you know, with my creativity, getting back to my roots, and then Paradise. And I wanted to start my own nonprofit so that I can actually continue to do great work like this in disaster zones. And the issue that's very big for me is bringing awareness to child trafficking, helping organizations that rescue girls. I did a mural project in Cambodia and Swai Pak, where there are brothels for girls down to 5 years old. And I was told I was going to paint with girls that have been rescued and they're going through restoration, but I was painting with girls that are being sold. So pedophiles would come by throughout the day, and I'm getting about ready to lose and start crying. So yes, I'm the 6'5" guy that cries at rom-coms. So okay. So that's why I started my nonprofit. This is Greenville, California, where the Dixie Fire came in and ravaged, just wiped out the whole town. And this mural is called Beautifully Broken. And I love how the crack is just going right through her face. Like a month later, after I was done, this sign fell off and fell down, and everything's already starting to fall apart. This one is inside of a church's food bank where they were giving food to the community. And this was this church, the whole church didn't burn down, but their big hall is just wiped out. Chimney was the only thing left, so I painted Jesus on there for them. Okay, so my very first project that I did for my nonprofit was January 2021. And this is an installation. January is National Human Trafficking Awareness Month. And I wanted to create something on acrylic panel that was very transparent in the forest. I'm going to play a video showing the project or production of the project. And you're going to hear a gal doing spoken word. So that's our friend Malika. Malika, she literally does stings throughout LA where there are girls that have been trafficked. So she works in the industry, and then she did the spoken word. I look good? Okay.
I am intelligent. I am beautiful. I can achieve great and mighty things. That's what my daddy always used to say. But when you told me that I was beautiful, all you saw was a sway in my back, in my hips, and my lips, and the parts and pieces of me. You never saw all of me. But I saw all of you. I saw the gold in you. And I accepted that as a treasure. And I opened my heart to you. I was the first one to say, I love you. saw that I would be good on the dance floor and good to make you a prophet. A prophet. You saw me no different than you saw money added to your bank account. But I did that. You never saw me. And so I have to tell you today that I see you. I see the secrets that I never saw before. Because the labels you put on me, I take them and throw them on the floor today. Today I'm no longer your prophet. Today I'm no longer your girl, part of your stable. Today I'm the woman who I was created for. Today I'm gonna walk back in my freedom. Today I will be seen not for what I can do, but for who I am. I am a woman. I'm intelligent. And I'm not the one who just ran to the let go of 1, 2, 3. I can't count anymore of the kids that will never call me mom. Because I did plan B. I didn't take on the original identity, but today I take my first step and I take it back. So you don't have to see me anymore. Let it be my secret weapon, and all you see is the back of me, because I'm walking to my future and to my freedom. I'm set free today, no longer a part of you.
Keeps doing that to me. Going back to. All right. There we go. You back to it? Can you see it?
It's a black screen. I think you maybe need to just select a different window again.
Keeps jumping to my Cintiq. Okay, how do I? Why are you doing that to me? Shoot. I'm gonna shut off my Photoshop here.
Do you have one more slide deck, Shane, you wanted to show?
Yeah, I still had some more images for my nonprofit, but I could show, I'll show one more video and then we'll go.
I don't know if I would show the video. We've got about 20 minutes left.
Okay.
How long is the video?
I have 5 minutes.
Okay. Well, yeah, no, I mean, we could do the video and some more images. I just wanted to leave a little time for some discussion if folks have questions as well.
Awesome. Okay, so this video that I'm going to show you here is our second project that I did through my nonprofit. And this one is an issue called, it was called Forgotten Flowers. So in the Native American community, a lot of girls and even boys are just disappearing. They're trafficked. And when I heard that whole issue, it just really hit me hard in my heart. And so I knew I needed to do something. So I'm going to show the video of this project. And then after that, I mean, there's so much more I could show you, but we'll go in the Q&A. This is in Chico, California.
My name is Ida Mercer. My name is Barbarossa. My name is Yana. lost my cousin to a domestic violence 3 years ago, going on 4 years now. Her boyfriend beat her to death. So it's near and dear to my heart.
This project means to me of bringing a voice to those who no longer have a voice and giving a voice to the future of our people.
I think it brings a lot of awareness about what's happening to Native families across the country.
To me, to be Native American means resiliency, courage, loyalty, strength, and honor.
It's very beautiful, but it can be sort of challenging because of the things we experience as Native people, from genocide to our sisters being murdered or missing.
The red handprint, it symbolizes missing murdered Indigenous women. And to me, it means that it's the silence of our sisters who have gone missing and who have been murdered. We're here to speak on their behalf and continue to seek justice for them and to bring awareness to the common people about the missing murdered Indigenous women movement.
Christian Garcia did the wolf, and then Allie Knight Metters did the flowers, and she's Machupta tribe. So that was really cool. Ended up being a collaboration, and it's still playing. There we go. All right, fire away.
Shane, that was awesome. Thank you for sharing that kind of whole arc of different type of work that you are doing and have done. So I think it just really gives us all such a better sense of all the different work that you're involved in. I definitely have some questions, but let me see if anybody else has any questions they want to start with to have a little discussion about Shane and his work while we've got a little time.
Yeah, I want to give a big shout out. All the video production was done by Sly Films, so Sly out of Sacramento. I love that guy. I budget him in on every single thing I do. So he does great work.
So I got a quick question here from somebody. Says, I have seen the mural you did in Upper Lake, California. Who commissioned that one?
Upper Lake, well, that was Vanessa Nico, and that was there are three or four different funding people for that, but I don't deal with that. So with my nonprofit, I have about 8 people on my board, and Christina and Doreen, they deal with all the contracts and the budgets, things like that. So I'm not sure exactly who did it, but there were 3 or 4 different people that funded it. We also asked for community involvement. So we asked for certain people to take care of food. So restaurants from the community brought food for the team. Because on that one in Upper Lake, California, it was a student-driven project. So we had about 12 students on that project. So the community was really involved.
Great. Looks also like Jaya is asking, how did you navigate working with the Native community? Did they approach you for the project, or did you propose it? And if so, what was your experience?
Yeah, great question. So I graduated from Chico High, and one of my friends that I grew up with, she's Pomo. She's actually half Pomo, half African American. her daughter is the model that's on the mural, Gia. So that started, I simply started talking to my community, my network in that area, saying that I had this idea that I wanted to do some kind of a mural to bring awareness to MMIW, missing murdered Indigenous women. We started out with my friend, then that opened up the door with other people as well. And there were some issues because we found out that Chico's not Pomo, Chico is Machuta. And so we ran into some issues there, but when we ran into Ali Knight Metters, who's Machuta artist, it worked out and we were able to collaborate with her. And then it became a bigger partnership. Then I had an idea and design for that big red handprint. And then we had the community come out. So we had Machuta and Pomo putting their hands in paint and putting that into the big hand, which kind of created this beautiful pattern when it was all done. And then that project opened up doors for other projects. We have done 5 other projects with Native American communities. And then we're doing more in other states. But my goal now is that I want to train up young aspiring Native American artists and help them to become leaders, and then they lead their own projects. So that's the ultimate goal.
Awesome. You know, Shane, I really love to see also that you showed us, you know, so many different ways that you create. I mean, from those earlier days, and I think that you still do some of that in terms of the, you know, set design work and so, but then also just in terms of murals, maybe you could speak a little bit to how you balance, because I remember calling you and you're like, oh yeah, I'm getting ready I just finally got this boom lift ready and I've got like 2 hours to get up there and work on the old theater or something. And so, you know, and some of those projects are, you know, you fund them yourself. I mean, or like when you're working with just a friend of yours in Paradise.
Yeah.
How do you think about that? You know, obviously you do some commissions, you applied for our program, you were part of that. So have you found a kind of balance where some projects you're just doing because you feel like you just need to do them, and then other projects, you know, you'll just, you know, you obviously have to pay bills and things too, but sometimes there can be a nice medium where, you know, it's a commission, but it's also something that engages you creatively as an artist.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a firm believer in hustling, always hustling. So I might do a $10,000, $15,000 mural, and then the next day I'm doing a freebie that I've already planned out, because I feel like that's where I'm pushing my envelope, and I'm always working on designs. I'm always working on like my own designs where I feel like I'm kind of pushing my style. So, you know, if after doing the mural in Natomas, then I went right up to Paradise and painted a mural there, and then I was out. So I don't know, I kind of take pride in being a machine a little bit, but I've learned to be that way to make money. You know, you got to make money, and you're always pushing, because you might get it. Like I did when Chadwick Boseman died. I was so bummed. And so I went and did a freebie in the arts district in LA. But, you know, not that I'm totally doing it to get likes and get reshares and stuff like that, but I like doing work that speaks to the communities, and it ends up getting me work all the time.
Little bit of a technical question, and I'm going to piggyback on Jaya here a little bit, just because. So one, I noticed in that video that you mix a little bit, you use a little brush technique, and then spray some things, and of course with the clear surface, you're like, seems like you're working on both sides as well to create some opacity when you have to. So I'm interested to know a little bit about how how you think about working with your materials. And then Jaya had asked very specifically, like, what is your favorite type of spray paint that you use? And which ones do you like to use, for what particular effects? And do you have a favorite like cap that you tend to use, or series of caps that you use in that work?
Yeah, definitely 94. 94 is my favorite. And I only use 2 caps. I use the cream skinnies and I use the fat caps for blending. And I use those 2 religiously. What I didn't like about graffiti was graffiti, even though a lot of graffiti artists are rebels, they have so many rules. You have to do it. You can't get paid or you're not legit. You got to get up. You got to represent your crew. You got to do illegal, and I'm just like, okay, I've got a wife and kids. My wife doesn't want me calling her from jail. And I don't like all the rules. What I like was when street art became cool, because street art is like, I don't care what you throw on that wall to make it look cool, make it look artsy. There's no rules. Use acrylic paint, use a brush, use a Wagner. I don't care. Anything that you can use to get it done. And if you're comfortable doing your details and you're blending with spray paint, then you finish it off. And I do that all the time. Sometimes, like in Paradise, spray paint is way more efficient because that's not a very big mural, like an 8 foot by 10 foot. I can knock something out like that in like 5 to 6 hours. And it's just so much faster with spray paint. You just blow and go. The acrylic panel was really tough. I only painted on one side, and I used a mixture of transparent paint, so I had some glaze in there. But I honestly wish I would have painted less on the plexiglass, and I wish it was a little bit more, like 25% more transparent. I think it would have been more powerful. But that's definitely an experiment that I'd like to keep playing around with and get better at. So it's hard because it means painting less. And it froze overnight.
Yeah, there were some interesting conditions there. I mean, it was one point where you were putting that up and it was like pouring rain. Like, I guess you were out there, so.
All that water froze.
Yeah.
I learned a lot. We slipped in mud trying to carry that plexiglass like 100 feet from the road. Truck got stuck. Yeah, that was fun. But art installations are amazing. And I want to keep pursuing that and experimenting.
So we're gonna be wrapping up soon. I got Jai asked another really good question that I'm also gonna piggyback on, because a couple weeks ago, I think I told you this, I was like over getting a pizza in East Sacramento, and I look and I'm like, that looks like a Shane Grammer mural. And then I go over to it and it was kind of a like young girls, young women empowerment group. And I didn't see your name anywhere on there. There were a couple signs that looked like they gotten rained on, so there might have been something that illustrated a little bit more who was working on it.
Yeah.
But sure enough, you told me actually no. And then I was at a paint day, and this young girl comes up to me with her dad, and she says, "Yeah, I did my first mural, and I worked with this artist Shane Grammer, and it was and so that kind of confirmed, I was like, oh, that was your project." So Jaya asked, could we hear a little bit more? And so I happened to talk to you, and I said the exact same thing. And you said, yeah, that was part of your nonprofit. So could you, as we round up, as we finish up here, could you tell us a little bit just about how you decided in 2020, 21 to form this nonprofit? I know you talked about it a little bit in the slideshow, but how you decided to form it, and what's the basic format of that? Does it have a specific name?
Yeah, it's Hope Through Art Foundation. We're on Instagram, Facebook, and we do have a website, but it's pretty small right now. We're working on that. I started it because of issues. Because when I first started, well, I got to be careful what I say. we'll just say that there's times where I've asked businesses to help me. And then when press gets involved or international press gets involved, people get what they get wacky. Photographers, everything. And I'm like, okay, this sucks. And I'm not a guy that doesn't get international press all the time. I don't. I've had press for certain kind of things. I don't seek it out. I'm just pushing my art and going for it. But I learned a valuable lesson through Paradise. And that was like, I need to control everything that I do. And so that means I need to be able to bring in funding to hire a photographer. And I go, all those photos are mine. Now, does that mean that I'm hardcore and he can't share it or put it in their own resume? Absolutely not, but those are Hope Through Art's photos. Those are Hope Through Art's videos. I'm hiring you to make a beautiful video. And so now I can control that. And I say control, but just control as in, I'm telling you, and I'm sure everybody listening's got a story, working with an artist or working with somebody, things get wacky. So I wanted my own nonprofit where I had an incentive for people to give me money to do awesome legacy projects, and then control all the media and everything that went about that. And that was the main driving force. So the first year, 21, we set out to do 4 projects. We ended up doing 13 fully funded.
Incredible.
Yeah.
It's great. And I love your conversation there about, ultimately, I think you're talking about intellectual property issues, things like that, it starts to get tricky, especially when you start to get into, you start to get some press coverage and all of a sudden what somebody thought they might just be kind of helping you out with, they feel they want to have some a bit of financial return. So I just think that that's a good lesson for all artists. Whether you have a nonprofit or not, think about the photos that you take, think about your documentation. I think it's really important. And take the time to do that and the expense to, like you said, hire your own photographer if you need to.
Budget it out and build up for that. You build up to it, don't jump in bed with just everybody. And oh my gosh, because I'm a trusting person. I like people. I meet a lot of people out there. We all do, especially muralists, because you're out in the community. And then you get somebody, hey, bro, dude, that's sick. That's tight. I want to help you out. And you're 2 weeks later, you're like, my God, what did I just do? How do I get out of this? So, yeah.
No, that's great. And then on the side note, separate from those types of issues, I just think it's wonderful that you recognize that this was an important part of the work you do and that it made sense to form, a nonprofit organization that would really, be the space that controlled all of that.
Yeah.
So, I just think it's a really terrific lesson for all the artists that are either on tonight or listening. It's a great thing to think about, Shane. I'm sure there was plenty of legwork that went into setting that up and having a board and all the things that go along with a 501c3.
And let me do one more thing. The board, when you set up your board, don't get your homies. If you're an amazing artist, stay amazing artist. Get somebody that's administrative, somebody who deals with social media, somebody who can take photos, a photographer, somebody who knows how to raise money, connected to the community. Get everybody that makes you better and makes you bigger so you can move forward with your vision and your dream.
That's going to be the last word. Thank you so much, Shane. That was excellent. Yeah, really excellent and great work. And I appreciate everything that you've done. This concludes our 4th artist talk for Community Murals Sacramento. You all can join us next week. I believe we have Gregory Schilling on next week. So looking forward to everybody coming out and joining us for the next artist talk for Community Murals Sacramento. Check us out on our website, communitymuralssacramento.org. Thanks, everybody, and have a good night.
Thank you, Donald.
Thanks. Thanks.